as long as it's forward. God, send me anywhere, only go with me. Lay any burden on me, only sustain me, and sever any tie in my heart, except the tie that binds my heart to yours. If you have men who will only come if they know there is a good road, I don't want them. I want men who will come if there is no road at all. I will go anywhere, provided it be forward. David Livingston, 1813 to 1873.
Thank you so much, Carolyn, and welcome everyone to Gems from the Wisdom Traditions, a conversation circle sponsored every Saturday by Still and Moving Center. This is the year, as I mentioned, of irreversibility, eyes to the stars, and we have someone who is bravely coming forward. She is someone who has studied under Kumu Malia Helela at Still and Moving Center ever since we opened. So that's been since 2011, more than 13 years ago. And she is coming not merely by the permission of Kumu Malia, not merely by the okay and suggestion, but by the request of Kumu Malia that she will represent us and our halau, our hula school, and talking about the theme for the week, which is United We Stand. And we have a beautiful, beautiful Hawaiian chant and oli that she has learned from Kumu Malia and that she will be presenting for us. And also, I want to say that Elena Kaiolena Mo is someone who has, in my experience as one of her hula sisters, approached everything in regard to the Hawaiian tradition with a great deal of respect and earnestness and really steadfast effort. So I feel really privileged that Kaiolena is going to be able to open with a presentation for us to then have a conversation about afterwards. So Kaiolena, let me hand it over to you. And I think Sharoni will make you co-host so that you can show.
Yeah, I'm a co-host. And thank you everyone for coming today. And when I was first asked to do the, with some gems, I went, oh, I'm not qualified to talk about hula traditions. I don't want to, like you say, I have deep reverence and respect, and I don't feel I can speak for Lahui or the Hawaiian people and practitioners. But when it was mentioned that I could actually just talk about my memories, my personal experiences, and my personal knowledge from our halau, I said, yeah. And then when I started preparing for this presentation, I just went through so many memories and pictures. And so I'm really excited to share that with you today. So I'm just going to set my timer so I don't overdo time here, because I originally thought I have nothing to say. And then once I started going, I went, I have 20 minutes, maybe more. So anyway, I'm going to share my screen with you and share that and show my, okay, and I don't want that in there. Is that going to show that little meeting being recorded thing, or can I move that somewhere? Oh, okay, just click okay, sorry. Because I don't want those things in the way of the slides. Anyway, they said,
Kaiolena, if I could mention, just everybody, if you'd like to see more of her presentation and less of the people, there's a little bar that looks like the handle for sliding a window screen back and forth. So if you slide that to the right, that will shrink the people and expand the size of her share.
Right. Or you can even click the little hide thumbnail video and you can only see me. Anyway, so when they asked me for an, it was, we stand together, we stand in unity and enlightenment. And they asked me for an image, and I thought, this is a kukui leaf lei which is printed on one of our hula skirts that we use for performance. And I thought this is a perfect way to start because I have a memory of making this kukui leaf lei. And the way that we made it is we sat in a circle and each one of us had one kukui leaf. And we would tie our kukui leaf to the next person and pass it. And they would tie on their kukui leaf and pass it, and tie on their kukui leaf and pass it. And when we went all the way around the circle, we had a beautiful long kukui leaf lei that we could use as a spiritual offering, which contained each and every one of our mana, each and every one of our love and energy. And it connected us all together as our offering was all together. So I thought that was a beautiful symbol of what we're talking about today. And later on in the presentation, you'll see us wearing those skirts. So keep that in mind. I had an excellent suggestion, which is to give you some thoughts to think about while I'm going through the presentation. And then after the presentation, we'll talk about them. Oops, sorry, I got to go through the little arrow. Oh, sorry. First things first, the oli to open. So this is a prophecy, and it's talking about a time of chaos, a time when there will be, dissension or challenges for the Hawaiian people, but that if we all stand tall together and we unite, if we all come together, then the walls will stand firm, right? So I will go ahead and chant this for you. E iho ana o luna e pi ana o lalo e hui ana na moku e ku ana kapaia. E iho ana o luna e pi ana o lalo e hui ana na moku e ku ana kapaia. E iho ana o luna e pi ana o lalo e hui ana na moku e ku ana kapaia. Okay, so here are the thoughts. Where do you come from? What is your lineage? What does aloha, kindness, unity, grace, positive mindset, humbleness, and patience mean in your life? When and where do you experience ohana or family? And what spiritual practices bring you closer to God, your guardians? I'm going to bring this up so you can see the whole thing here. Your ancestors and the natural world. Maybe you can pin me, Renee, because now I'm seeing you. Anyway, those are the questions that I would like you to keep in mind as I go through my presentation. I'll see if I can move that over. Okay. Here are some concepts. Let me see, maybe I can do it this way or something. Sorry. There we go. Then you're on there, but yep, sorry, back. So here are some concepts that are very key to our halau. The first one is loina or protocol. And I think, the pule, the prayer is a protocol. The gods and guardians and ancestors and our lineage are all related to protocol. And then there's lavena, the behavior, how we carry ourselves. And there was halau, our hula school or group. And the kumu is the teacher, the haumana are the students. And halau literally means like school or schoolhouse. And the students gathered under one roof. So, sorry, I'm trying to get me only over here. There we go. So here's a traditional house. And so the hula schools would have a house like this, and that's where they would dance. Other key values in our halau are ma'alama, caring for each other, mahalo, having gratitude in our hearts. And you'll notice before we begin dancing, we always offer a gratitude to make sure that we are, in fact, in a space of gratitude as we dance. Balance and duality, making sure we have balance, right brain, left brain, right side, left side, male, female, up and down, corner to corner. And then hoa aloha, our beloved friends, our ohana, our family, and kako, And I think in Kumamalia's halau, but also in Hawaiian culture, it's really, really important that no one is forgotten or left out. So we say aloha kako, everybody, just to make sure we don't hurt anyone's feelings, we don't leave anyone out, all are included. So that's a very important value too. The core of our behaviors and our values here are the aloha. And let's see if I can, sorry, I'm always moving this little box around. I don't know if you guys can see the slides without this little box, but anyway. So you don't see the little box? You see just the slides? Okay. So we have aloha. A is akahai. L is lokahi. Olu olu is grace or positive mindset. Ha'aha'a being humble, and ahonui to be patient, or ahonui alanakila, until success is achieved. And we are nahula ola aloha, which could be translated as the hula that lives through love, or it could be translated as love that lives through hula. And we are both. And you'll notice the logo here, and I happen to be wearing that t-shirt today. Kumu designed this logo for our halau t-shirt. So I'd like all of you to have a little participation. And we do this as a chant, and you can chant along with me. And we're just going to chant the single words here. And when you chant, there is a rhythm that you have. So you cup your hands and you clap, clap, and then flat. Clap, clap, flat. Right? Clap, clap, flat. So it goes like this. Akahai lokahi, olu olu ha'aha'a, ahonui alanakila, alohae, 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 alohae. Boom, catch it. Okay, so I decided to, because this is really the core of our halau is aloha and these basic concepts, I decided to organize my presentation with examples of that in our activities and practices and things. But first, I'm going to talk about our lineage. So here's our lahau, our lineage, our kuhau. And we originally came through Lokalia Montgomery, and she was the teacher of Kumu Hula Pulu'elo Naipo Park. And Pulu'elo is the teacher of Malia. And here's Malia, and that's Ilana. Those of you who know Ilana today, this is little Ilana. And this is Pulu'elo's sister who was dancing together with them. So here we are at the Hula Fest or Hula Conference on the Big Island in Hilo. And when we went to a performance in the auditorium, we were walking outside the actual entrance to the auditorium, and there was a picture of Pulu'elo Park, Malia's Kumu. And so here we are all standing next to a photo of our teacher's teacher honoring our lineage. Helala o Malia Helela au. I am a branch of the Kumu, Malia Helela. Kumu means tree, it means trunk, it means root, and it means source. So Malia is the source, and I am a branch from her lineage and her source. And one of our most important values is akahai, which means to show kindness, compassion, and ma'alama, to care for each other. So we have a healing practice called hakikino, where we step on each other. This is a traditional body work specific to hula. And normally it would be one person who did this for the halau, and the kumu would say, oh, that dancer's hips are a little stiff, and pull them out of the dance and they get stepped on and come back in with their hips all nice and loose. But Malia felt that we should all learn Hakikino and practice on each other. So in this slide, we're actually, two of us are giving some malama care and love and healing to Malia. And here we are helping each other dress for performance. And you can see helping each other with our lei. And here's Hulali, who's helping Mary to put on her kupe'e on her ankles, and Mary tucking in Hulali's skirt, making sure everything is beautiful and ready to go. Then we have lokahi, and lokahi means working together towards a common goal in unity. And Malia taught us the appropriate way to gather ferns when the ferns are too young to pick, and not picking them when they have spores, to listen to the ferns, to ask them to come with us and talk to them before we just pick them, and see if they are willing to come and become part of our leipo on our heads or part of our decoration on our bodies. And this is Emalani I Alakai Hula Festival at Koke'e on the State Park on Kauai. And here we are making lei for our performance the next morning. And up in Koke'e, it's very cold, actually. You can see we're all bundled up. We have wool hats and sweaters, but it was just such a magical, special time of unity, all making lei together. And of course, unity includes practicing together and waiting to perform and standing together. This particular performance was very special in unity because Malia, Alexis, and Leimomi are 3 kumu, all of whom were unikied or graduated by Puluelo Park. And they all came together bringing their halau to honor Puluelo, all the 3 branches of Puluelo dancing together at Emalani and representing kumu Puluelo Park. So again, reflecting our lineage and our unity. And unity also is found in dance, because the goal of hula is to be perfectly in alignment, to move together as one, right? To have the same angles, so that we really move to get, if you look at the really, really good halaus, they move like one body. You almost feel like they're a school of fish all moving together, or, grass is all in the same wind. They're all moving, not as individual dancers, but moving together as one body, one group. And it's beautiful to see. Always group photo to mark the event. And in this case, we had all of our hula sisters from Japan joined us at that performance, which is really wonderful because we have, our halau is very international. We have people from all over the world. And again, no one is left out. No one is excluded. And after the photos and everything's over, we have our ku'u aloha, our beloved friends, and we get silly. And here we are showing our pantaloons and being sexy and cute and having a great time. You might recognize, that's me, you might recognize some of these dancers. But after the silliness, we got to get serious again, because we have to go into the spiritual part, which is pule. Mahalo ke akua na amakua na kupuna, thanks to the guardians, the ancestors, to God, and to the land for a successful performance on Kauai. And we gathered all the ferns and we gathered the tea leaf from this land. And therefore, when we finish our performance, we go to the top lookout point of the mountain there, and we throw our lei over the cliff to return it to the land from which it came. And that's always a special moment. And lokahi for me also, unity, is to be a member of the group even when you're frightened, because I'm afraid of heights. And you'll see me here in the front of the group looking like, oh my God, I can't believe we're standing at the edge of this cliff and it's a really long drop down there. But lokahi, I'm a member of the group. I'm not going to stand in the back row, but I will have my picture taken in the front row. And so to me, that's also overcoming your fear in order to be in oneness with the group. Then we have olu olu, which is grace or positive thoughts. And after the performance, we drove to the other side of the island to Ke'e Beach. and we discovered a monk seal, and Marty says it was epic. And we had so many pleasant thoughts and grace with each other, and just wonderful memories, and then heading back to Oahu. This experience to me is being humble. We went to this special Ka'aha Hula o Halawa Hula convention and ceremony, and I really, really wanted to dance and partake in the ceremony. And I was so, I just wanted to be on that dance floor. I wanted to be in ceremony, but I had enough respect and reverence that I realized I was working full time. I didn't have time to go to the workshops to prepare. I didn't have time to really practice and master the dances and the ceremony. And I did not want to shame everybody and show up and try to participate in the ceremony half-assed. So I had to be humble and say, you know what, I don't have to be on stage. I don't have to be in ceremony. I can serve humbly as the ko'o, as the support for the halau. And I can watch people's bags, and I can take pictures, and I can be there to do whatever the halau needs as a support person. And to me, that is the value of being a ko'o and being ha'aha'a. And these yellow skirts and tops and things were all dyed with turmeric by each dancer, and each dancer made their own costume and sewed it together. And that was part of the requirement for ceremony. And since I wasn't dancing, I didn't make a skirt. I just made a kihei. Oops, sorry, wrong way. Here's the hi'uvai, which is, again, part of our loina, part of our protocol for the equinox and the solstice and the ceremony, marking the passage of time, the balance and duality between equinox and solstice. And we set intentions with our prayers. So ahinuia lanakila, having patience to take a long view and setting intention. And unfortunately, we were supposed to be doing this at 5 a.m. this morning. And as some of you may have heard, there was a raw sewage spill from the wastewater plant, and the water's polluted, and we're not able to go in at 5:30 this morning. So hopefully we'll be able to perform this ceremony together next week. And after the ceremony, it's again time to be hoa aloha, to have fun. Uapau, we're done. Let's have potluck on the beach. Let's go out to breakfast. And another aspect is malama aina, having unity with the land, with our food, duty to care for sacred places, or vahipana. And this is at Ulupo Heiau, a temple or sacred mound, and it's much bigger than you see here. It's actually huge. And to think that each of those stones was carried over one by one, hand to hand, by people from far away, all the way over to this heiau, and it's huge. And this is my favorite photo of me and Malia and the boys. After we had been working in the taro patch, and we were all muddy, but we were so happy getting down and dirty in the mud, and nurturing the plants and chanting permission to enter the sacred space. And this is little Ilana. And those of you who know those big boys now, those big strapping boys, there they are, little guys. It's so wonderful to watch them grow up. And then aloha also is sharing our lei. Lei pua like ole. Like ole means none are the same. So each flower in our lei is unique. There are many different colors, many different kinds, but we are all connected by love, and we offer that love to our audience and to each other and to others. More awana dancing. I think I can still fit into that dress. I'm not sure. And I just love to watch Malia dance. It's so wonderful. She's such a beautiful dancer that I get inspired every time. And my dream is to dance one day even half as beautifully as she does. This is at Prince Lot Hula Festival, Moanalua Gardens. Another aspect of halau is ohana. So sharing food together. And Malia always says, when we eat together, we are family, right? When we dance together, we are family. When we cook together, we are family. So in the picture on the left, we're there's Renee. We're all in a cabin on Kauai, and we're all helping to prepare a meal together and cooking together. And here we're eating together. Here we're having a breakfast together after Hi'uvai in Kailua. So sharing food is an important part of being family, a hula family. And being a hula family, another important part is to share joy. So Kumamolia has officiated many weddings. This is Hulali and myself at her wedding. And this is Mamalu Okekai at her wedding. The bride would dance for the groom, and we would dance for the wedding party and their guests. And you'll notice that Malia created a heart of flowers around the wedding party, which I thought was very beautiful. Ohana, of course, when you have weddings, what happens? We get the next generation. And so Ohana is also sharing the joy of becoming aunties and uncles and treasuring our precious next generation. And I must say, we on Kauai, we're kind of famous for our ma'i, which is a procreation dance, an ancient style procreation dance, to encourage people to have babies. And one year we had so many babies in our halau that Malia was asked, "Are you going to do the ma'i this year?" "No, we're procreating too much already. We're not going to do it this year. We've had so many babies in our halau." And Mary says, "Joys shared are multiplied." And that is really true. We also have Ohana is sharing our sorrows, right? So when my mother passed away, and it took a long time for our family to get it together so everyone could come to Hawaii to scatter my mom's ashes by canoe into the ocean. And we had a celebration of life in Kapilani Park afterward. And Malia and Mary graciously supported me in dancing, from a dancer. And we sang the Queen's Prayer, which was my mom's favorite song. And my mom was a dancer. She did Japanese classical dance. She did modern dance. She did flamenco. She didn't dance hula, but we felt dancing in her honor was truly a way to honor her. Yes. And it was just a chicken skin amazing experience dancing together. But again, like many sorrowful events, after we express all of that, we have fun. It's time for kanikapila, for informal party dancing and sharing love with all of each other. And so Malia and Mary got up with one of the people who was accompanying the musicians, and the musicians played something I knew, so I got up and danced. And then Malia had changed out of her mu'u and into her blue jeans, and she and the young lady from the musicians group did a few dances. And we hung out together. And this photo particularly touches my heart because, Mary didn't know my Uncle Guy, but her love for him was so amazing. Yeah, just starting to get a little choked up when I talk about it. But here's me and Malia and my Uncle Guy. And just Mary's aloha is boundless. It's amazing. And yeah, we're just all sitting there. Here, we all came to the celebration for Malia's father when he passed. And we had one of his favorite groups. Mary and he had heard this group many, many, many years ago. And so I saw hula sisters that I had not seen in years. And yet we all came together to remember Manu Bird, Malia's father, to celebrate, to make music, and to get up and dance whatever we knew and have a great party together and food together and enjoy together. So that was, I have 4 more minutes for 30 minutes, but that was basically what I wanted to say. So I'm going to leave us with the thoughts again. Where do you come from? What is your lineage? What does aloha, kindness, unity, grace, and positive mindset, humbleness and patience mean in your life? When and where do you experience ohana or family, weddings, births, funerals, just family time together, eating together? And what spiritual practices in your life bring you, oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that, bring you closer to God, guardians, ancestors, the natural world, and the universe? I'm not quite sure how to leave this up for you to discuss. Maybe our tech person has a suggestion, but I also did create a Google Doc with a link that I can share if you wanted to go to the Google Doc while you think about this and discuss. So I'm going to stop share. And I will put the link into the chat so that you can go to that document if you want to. I just have to get out of here and get out of here and go to.
Thank you so much, Kaiolena. That was just magnificent and really deepened in me my appreciation for the halau, for our Kumu, Malia, and her mom, Mary, who's here with us. And just made me realize how much being a part of this hula halau has made me feel united with this land that we're living on here on the islands, and with the people of the islands, both the ones who are here now, of many different kinds, as well as people who were here on the islands much earlier. And you just brought back so many memories of a strong sense
so
of
many of those
cohesiveness.
slides, and so is Mary.
Yeah. There is just such a cohesiveness that we are able to experience. And
There is
so
a
I'm
link in the Google
very
Doc. I wanna
grateful
click on.
for your providing that Google Doc. And I want to remind everyone that United We Stand is our topic for today. So there's so many different ways of approaching that. And we'd just like to open this up now for roundtable conversation.
And I will mute myself, but go for it. I'm sure all of you have those experiences in your life. And what I found was wonderful is when I asked myself those questions, I realized that halau and hula check every single one of those boxes for me in my life.
Well, thank you, Kaiolena. It really was very touching, and I'm very proud of you because and Renee and all of our halau members who've, you know, been a part of our life for 13 something years, and it keeps, it fluctuates. It grows and then it tapers off as people move away and then new people come in, and just to be able to share our halau and our traditions is just, it's wonderful, and things continue. It doesn't matter if people pass. I mean, it does, but what they've left as a legacy continues, and it's wonderful. Mahalo.
Yeah, and I'm a transplant. I wasn't born in Hawaii. I didn't grow up in Hawaii. And as Renee mentioned, I have a deep reverence and respect for the culture. And I feel that through hula, I've been able to learn the language and the chanting. I've been able to understand the values better. And it's made me feel like I have a right to be here and put down roots here, and to be connected to the culture and the land and the sea here. And that's been so special for me.
And really it's I think thanks to having such an amazingly inclusive kumu as we do, who just truly welcomes people from all over the world. I remember being in one of her classes before the pandemic and knowing enough of the people in the class to count either 9 or 11 different nationalities of people all attending class with Kumu Malaya, and everyone being made to feel completely welcome. So that idea of unity is just infused into everything that she does with us. And that is not a universal experience. I have experienced other Kumu's ways of practicing, and what Malaya is doing is not universally done. So
we were just talking the other day about how people come and they go, but we're such a family that when they come back after 5 years or 6 years, it's like they never left. And we welcome them like a sister coming back into the family. And it's just wonderful. Diana, yes.
I was just going to share that I'd been gifted this last month. It was my granddaughter's graduation from college. We went to that, and then we went to Maryland to my sister's 80th birthday, and there were 15 family members. Some we haven't seen for a long time, and we're all getting older. But the idea of Ohana, of just hanging out together, of eating together. We were there for 4 days and 5 nights, and so it was like, instead of just going to a party, we were really able to really feel that. And I was thinking about how family is not just blood. Yes, I was in Nani Lim's halau for 5 years, and then I couldn't remember it. I practiced and practiced, and my head just couldn't remember all the steps, so I stopped. But I always feel very connected, and that the ideas of kindness, unity, purpose, grace, humbleness, and patience, we all are one. Everyone is our Ohana. You or me, and we are all one. And if we extend those aloha values to our life, what a difference it would make in our world, that we do see everyone as Ohana. And yet we are given the gift of whether blood Ohana or spiritual Ohana or even just physical Ohana. Some of our friends feel very differently than we do. We have really different politically, spiritually, and everything, but they are filled with love and kindness, and they are all our Ohana. We just don't talk about those things. And so it's really interesting to really start seeing, if everyone is our Ohana, those qualities. And I thought you did a beautiful job. Thank you so much. It was just gorgeous capturing with the pictures and the feeling, because that's what halau is. It is a feeling of family, and it's such a gift. So thank you. That was a beautiful talk.
Yeah, I have to say I love your presentation. I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel as you get older, it's easier to find a community. But when you are young, it's really difficult to really find your people, right? You're discovering yourself and dealing with so much, but I long for that community and like that unity, right? Like that support. It's such a beautiful thing. My family is my best friend, but how magical it would be if like you can make your best friend the rest of the people around you, right? Like if you can really find a Ohana in everybody that is around you besides, your family or your partner, that is such a magical, a special thing. And yeah, it really moved me. Very beautiful, very inspiring to, seek for that, build that. Yeah, all around. So
And
thank you.
what's really wonderful for me is that I'm not married. I never had children. I never will. I'm past that age. And so the fact that our halau has newborns and toddlers and teenagers and young people and people my age and Mary's age, and we have 4 generations of ohana in our halau. And to me, that is so magical to see the little kids dancing with their aunties, and to have Malia's kids grow up before my eyes. That fills a void in my life when I don't have children, and I don't have many generations around me. And I don't have relatives here on the island. My relatives are all on the mainland. So yeah, just having this Hanai family and the chance to be interacting with all these different generations through something we love is another thing that it really fulfills in my life.
Yeah, I think there are many different ways to look at unity, but I think one of the most essential one is humans, us, individuals, just coming together. There is a very powerful feeling to that, right? Like, I was reading your little things about Mary, like if we share together the grief, like if we're together, the grief is shared, or like if we enjoy together, the enjoyment is full, like, like have that
The-
support.
Mary can say it best, right? What
Yeah.
is it?
What is it, Mary?
Joys shared are multiplied, and grief shared is divided.
Yeah, it's such a powerful thing that, you're not alone. It's like so great to see that the most united we can stand, the more we can like rely on each other, support each other, and just go through all these different things that life throw at us, good and bad. Like, I don't know, it's just very, very, very inspiring to build community and have such a supportive thing.
Yeah, Michael or Carolyn, do you have any thoughts about any of those questions or?
There. My paternal ancestors came way back in two brothers, refugees from the um, uh, religious conflicts in Europe and even massacres of um, the Huguenots, etc. So they got here in 1636 and were happy to settle in Rhode Island, where Roger Williams set up a colony with complete religious freedom and even just a basis of conscience. So because he had gotten kicked out of Massachusetts. So they settled there and the family did well and some dispersed all into the 20th century until the Depression and World War II kind of scattered people, in some cases impoverished people. And so now it's fair to say that the Dorrance family has disappeared. It's reached the end of its contribution to history, you could argue. But there was always this commitment to religious freedom and self-discovery, and an openness to people of other persuasions. So they made their contributions, and one of them actually was the founder of Campbell's Soup. So they made the money. But so now looking at this now disappearing family, it seems to me, and I'm now part of a small community. It seems to me that we are finding a different way, and some of you have spoken of it, a different way of a family, if you want to still use that word, but of community, and found and been encouraged to find a different way, but not a different way, a way of sharing very important moral, spiritual, social values. So I think I think there's what's been going on for 50 years or so is kind of maybe a reorganization or a redefinition of what kind of community we could be part of at a time when blood family has scattered or disappeared or just found other interests. It was very common when I was graduating from college. It was just expected that the children would just go someplace. There was no obligation to stay around and be part of a blood family. The expectation is that America is where you could go out and discover for yourself what was valuable and make new connections. and therefore be, at one level, there'd be diversity with people from all over the world. And at another, there would be sharing and community on the basis of hope and aspiration and commitment to help others. So I think it's interesting, both to watch and to experience this kind of fundamental, you might say, restructuring of the basis of community. And although it's disturbing to some, it's been a source of great, I mean, just now what we're doing, we're hearing about a different tradition, a different experience of family and of community. And I don't know any of you particularly, but I'm happy to listen and learn. And I think the more that I think that's the direction we're going. So we're not going to be tied down so much to a particular family or community in terms geographically. So there maybe is something very hopeful for the future that we might be overlooking if we're lamenting the disintegration of the past.
That's a really good point. And I don't remember who said this to me, but they said, in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you've come from. And it's the people may have disappeared, but their impact hasn't disappeared, right? Because it's in you and because you're sharing it with other communities. And it's still rippling out. And I don't have children, but my parents and grandparents all somehow handed down to us this love of nature, this just awe feeling of nature. And one of my great uncles went up to the with my grandfather in the 1800s or something. They went by wagon train up to Yosemite, and they stood there at the lookout point and went, ah, and they couldn't say a word. And then my great uncle Bob threw his hat in the air and said, "Bully for God." It's like, and that awe of nature is in me. And because I don't have children, I am sharing that I teach at a community college. I teach English second language. And so I am rippling that out through my planting seeds with my students and hoping that they will have that experience of this beauty and spiritual power of nature. My grandmother was a Methodist minister's daughter who had a hand that was crippled by a fever in her childhood. And her doctor told her as an adult, to help your crippled hand, you should do hula. And this was in the 30s, right? And so she was not supposed to be sexy or dance or anything, but she had turned on Hawaii Calls radio, and boy, did she dance the hula because she had doctor's orders, and so that dance tradition has rippled out through my family too. And that value of diversity that I find in this community here, that my mother was in California during World War II when the Japanese were interned in a racetrack at Santa Anita, and she was living with her grandmother, my great grandmother, and she walked past this camp and she said, "Grandma, what did these people do wrong?" And she said, "They didn't do anything wrong." You can hate the war, but never hate the people. And it still makes me cry, to think of that. So, like you say, you can have love for people who have different political views. You can have love for people who are different from you, and yet you can hate the politics, but not the people. You can hate the war, but not hate the Palestinians. It's not their fault that their leaders are creating this horrible situation, and it's not the Israelis' fault either that they're in this terrible situation. You hate the situation, the war, the leaders causing it, but you don't hate the people. And I find that in our halau so much with our inclusion of everybody. Anyway, Michael, any thoughts?
I'll just say it was a beautiful presentation, really a lot to think about, and just wonderful presentation.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I really enjoyed sharing it. I found it was at first I didn't want to. I've never done this before, and I didn't want to do it. And as I started putting the presentation together, it reminded me, it taught me again what it really, really, truly means to be in halal, right? And how it provides all of these areas of my life would be empty without halal.
Yeah.
Children and community and family and spiritual connection to the earth and nature and just valuing kindness, valuing helping each other. Yeah, language, all of these things that if I had to have one thing in my life that checked all of the boxes of those questions, this is it. And that's why I've been doing it for 13 years. And when I think of, when I'm old, maybe I'll move back to the mainland where it's cheaper, but I would be separated from hula. I don't know if I can do that. So I wouldn't be separated from Malia and Mary and my hello. And so,
Kyolana, I
Mhm.
want to follow up a bit on some of the ideas that Carolyn brought to mind in speaking of her ancestral line, and then your follow-up response, which was even if certain people along a line have disappeared, have dissipated, yet within anyone in that line who has partaken of some of the ethos of that family's values, they can be sharing it and have this ripple effect. And also really that idea that Carolyn was speaking to, which was this idea of a new basis of unity. United we stand. Well, we don't necessarily have to just stay united with whoever was in our bloodline, for example. And something I was reading just yesterday about evolution is the importance of not having too much inbreeding, that it's really important to have diversity that strengthens. So unity kind of like this way, instead of these tight little clumps, is a lot more conducive to thriving. And so also this idea that, and we have here at Gems from the Wisdom Traditions considered on a couple occasions the difference between, for example, the dominant ideas that were threading through the Piscean or the Piscean age versus the dominant threads that are flowing through the Aquarian age, which is said to have begun in 1902. So since it's like about a 2,500 year cycle, we're still very much in the infancy of this age. And there is something about it that is going in the way of expansion. And so that unity coming in a more intermeshed kind of way by the way that we are deliberately connecting with one another on self-chosen bases versus just what we happen to have been born into. And so just following along the way we would have. And that will actually be a strengthening and uplifting element in the society of the future, what we're building by having these new ways of coming together, even Gems, this group that has been meeting now for about 4 years, is having, I think, a salutary effect. I mean, it's something that's very dear to my heart when I come online and I see so many of you over and over again. And maybe for a little while I don't see you, but then here you pop up on the screen, and I have this continuing feeling of connectedness on a much deeper level than just because we happen to share the same last name, or we happen to live in the same neighborhood, or anything like that.
What you're saying, Renee, really reminds me of the Buddhist concept that nothing is ever lost in the universe. It just changes form over and over again.
Yeah.
It ripples and it changes form, but nothing is ever lost. Nothing totally disappears. It just changes form. And yeah, so it reminded me of that. And just thinking of how the past, the present, and the future are all kind of braided and connected together. And yeah, is a beautiful, like a lay, really. It's a beautiful thing.
To illustrate what Renee was just saying, I was realizing the other day that my two most active friendships is a woman from Ukraine who brings a container of borscht once a week, and she's learning English and all of that. And then my Afghani friend, who actually came, her father brought the whole family to get out of Afghanistan some years ago. And she and I and a friend from Kenya, we get together for the most hilarious, enjoyable suppers about once every other month. And, I'm from New England. And so I was thinking about that. Well, how did this happen? How do you get connected with people from so far away and actually were refugees in both cases of very bad situations? They had to leave. But you can welcome them and learn from them and enjoy them, every bit of their humanity.
Yeah, and that's like Kumalia says, when we share food, when we eat together, we are family. We become family through the sharing of food. And so I can see that all corners of the world, and yet you come together and share food together, and that's a bond right there.
I think there's also something, and I know we're getting near the end, so I just will touch on it just briefly, about being part of a community that goes through trying times, that where there is divisiveness. And I think we are, as a country, going through this at a stronger level than I or my parents remember ever having done so before. And just seeing if there's more that's there that's going to be tying us together and lifting us up than that which is seeking to tear us apart. And if it does, what are those new ties that we will unite in new ways that will form something again that we can be united under? So it'll be interesting.
This is completely on a tangent, but I was reading somewhere a question about, what was the last thing in the bottom of Pandora's box, right? All of these evils in the world that escaped, all the sins and evils that escaped from Pandora's box. But at the very bottom of Pandora's box was hope. The last thing that came out of her box was hope.
Yes.
And that gives us that heart of gratitude, comes back to gratitude, that we have hope and community and friends. And I want to thank all of you for being part of this community and sharing your thoughts and your lineages and your hopes and dreams and experiences. And I hope I'll see you in person now and then at still a movie center, or maybe hula class, or in a Zoom box.
Or maybe at a hula performance that
Or a
you'll
potluck,
be in.
never know.
I want to share with you the topic for next week is the eagle. And what I'm thinking of doing is sharing a story from the Native American tradition called Jumping Mouse. It's absolutely delightful, symbolic story. It's about 5 pages long. And what we may be doing is there are actually different characters in the story. So I'm thinking that what we'll do as an opening, just kind of taking a new direction here for this next week, is to take turns reading as different characters in the story, the different parts, and then use that as the basis of our conversation. So we'll be
In the tradition of no one forgotten, I do not want to forget to thank Shannon for being my tech support today.
Sharone. Sharone? Yeah.
Thank you.
Then,
My pleasure.
For being my tech support. I really
yeah.
appreciate
Okay.
it. And thank you,
I'd
Renee.
like to thank you so much, Kaiolana, for taking on an assignment, so to speak, from our Kumu. That was something that you really didn't feel at all comfortable in. And just having I think, the trust in our teacher's wisdom in giving you that assignment, as well as in yourself, a growing trust that all of these
Wow, if Kumu says you do it, you do it. You don't say no. Do not
and
disregard Kumu's request.
and you did such a marvelous job of it. I think we all just benefited enormously from your presentation and words of wisdom. Thank you so much. Aloha, everyone, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the weeks to come.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank
Aloha.
you.
And
Aloha.